Every Tuesday, live from 8 PM UK time. Luke, Gary, and a couple of microphones. This
and Matt.
is Custard TV Live.
Hello?
This is Custard TV Live.
Just to blow Matt's mind.
That jingle is totally inaccurate.
Well, I know. Well, the thing is, you know, the jingle man's busy, but he will sort them out.
Okay.
And but what I'm going to have him do is just include every possible name, so that, you know, if Rihanna ever guest stars on the podcast,
there's a fair chance.
Gary, Matt, and Rihanna.
If Rihanna's coming on, I'm out of here. Sorry.
Yeah.
If you get Rihanna, I'm out.
You'll just shut up and drive, won't you, if Rihanna turns up?
He'll have to send an SOS.
Is that two of her tunes?
Yeah.
Classic Rihanna reference there from Matt. That's the sort of comedy you can expect on the Custard TV Live, where we talk about nothing else other than telly. Hence all the Rihanna references there.
I believe Rihanna found love in a hopeless place. No?
Oh, I see what you did.
Did it there? Okay.
Even Gary can join in.
Really.
We're inclusive on this. What was the last record you bought, actually? I'd be interested. Matt, what was the last record you bought?
Records?
Well, what was the last CD? The physical, because with the HMV news, what was the last physical CD you bought?
No. Oh, I know. I bought some CDs for my mum for Christmas.
Yeah, does that count?
Does that count?
Yeah, it counts. I'm allowing it.
Okay,
Best of the Pet Shop Boys.
Best of Dionne Warwick for my mum.
Dionne Warwick. God.
Yeah.
Mum tastes are always interesting, aren't they?
The last thing I downloaded for myself was probably a Bon Jovi or a Radiohead thing that I wanted, but that was a long time ago.
This makes me cooler than either of you. Not that we ever doubted it. My last physical purchase of a CD was last week. Only Radiohead box set.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Was that in the HMV Blue Cross sale?
Yes.
Should be a Red Cross sale, shouldn't it? Really? You know?
Where a Blue Cross makes everything better. All right, then. So, as we are a telly podcast, that is the music section over with.
Click next on your podcast link to move on to telly.
Now we talk about our favourite uses of flour. Now, right. So, I'm Luke. I run the website, thecustardtv.com. To the side of me is Gary.
What? Oh, hello. Sorry, that confused me. I did actually turn my head just to make sure you weren't in the same room.
No,
just to be sure. Yes. Good. Hello, listeners.
Good. Hello.
And Lauren.
So, to the side of Gary on this metaphorical coach that is the Custard TV Live is Matt.
Hello. How are we doing?
We're fine. It's not actually a metaphorical coach. It's more like the Magic School Bus. That's what we're doing.
I was thinking more coach trip.
I was going to say coach trip came into my mind as well.
Okay, so we are talking telly. What are we talking about on telly? Well, specifically what we've loathed and what we've loved in what has been quite a bland January, if we're honest.
Yeah,
there's been some highlights, but yeah, mainly.
And what annoys me is, for me, the personal highlights of the year, or the personal highlights of the month so far, are things that I seem to be the only one watching. There's not massive viewing figures for My Big Fat Diary, which I absolutely love. There's not massive viewing figures for The Hotel, which I love. And there's not massive viewing figures for The Undateables, which I also love. So
what we're learning from that, Luke, is that you're wrong.
No.
But not a lot of people watch Channel 4.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, someone disconnected Channel 4 maybe in the rating central.
I reckon so. I reckon they only calculate BBC One and BBC Two and ITV. Speaking of which, speaking of BBC One, in the news, Ripper Street's being recommissioned for a second series. Matt, you find it dull and intolerable.
Yeah, it's nothing that's ever caught me. Oh, you know, I've watched every episode. I enjoy the guest stars. I think that's the main thing that keeps me going throughout the episode, and it's really well stylized. But I just find it boring, and Matthew McFadden, he just doesn't do anything for me in it. He's just very bland. But you love it, don't you?
I would agree, except every week it seems to just get better and better and better. And it is really one of the highlights of my week now. I really do genuinely enjoy it. But I can completely understand why if you don't like, I can understand why you wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
Just take a little. The language can be a bit annoying, and I don't really. This is going to upset a few people. I don't really think Matthew McFadden, even in Spooks, wasn't the best lead.
No.
I know a lot of people would disagree with that. Just my.
Yeah. A lot of people in Spooks claim that he was a bit wooden, but the problem is that as well the character that they wrote him wasn't exactly the world's most interesting person. He was very regimented, almost army-like in the way he sort of ran Spooks.
He's a bit like that in Ripper Street as well, isn't he?
Yeah, and that was my problem with it, was that actually, because I didn't like him, and I didn't really like the Robson Green character either, or was it Robson?
Jerome.
I don't know.
Jerome,
It's Jerome, sorry, not Robson Green.
Just so, in
He's in
case
Game
you're
of Thrones.
clocks, that's 5 minutes that Gary has gone without getting the name wrong.
Yeah.
Just in case you're watching the Robson Green and Ripper Street. It wouldn't surprise me if he's there on the side fly fishing.
Fishing, yeah. Fishing in a barrel.
Extreme fly fishing, of course, so he'd be standing on one leg or something.
A lot of people were divided by the Pirates of the Caribbean-esque episode that was on last Sunday. Wasn't a massive fan of Ian Glenn in that, to be honest.
I quite liked him in that.
Well,
He made it. He lifted it a bit, sort of, entertainment-wise. I don't know if he was a good fit for the show, but yeah, I think he lifted it sort of entertainment-wise.
But interestingly, the people who are not watching who are not watching Ripper Street and instead watching Mr. Selfridge and Ripper Street last Sunday, neck and neck, the ratings. Neck and neck. As if we have, necks in television.
As if there's. I think you make a good point about the fact that it's led to a rather lacklustre January, and with the weather being so up and down, you'd think people would look forward to settling down in front of the telly because it's so cold and horrible outside, but no channel has really grabbed it by the neck and said, right, we're going to make compelling television. There are some small little programmes.
Not going to repeat this again, but if we look at last January, Sherlock was on, Public Enemies was on, there was so much more on.
Yeah. Endeavour.
Not calling anyone a moron. Endeavour was on. Yeah, it was just, I don't know.
I get the feeling this month he's going to pick up a bit, because I know ITV are showing a lot of new dramas sort of midway through the month.
I want dates, I want times, because...
I think like the third week of this month, I think they're showing...
It gets better.
A lot of stuff's then. Lewis is coming to an end. Midsummer Murders is coming to an end.
Silent Witness will come to an end when that will get replaced on BBC.
Yeah. So I reckon there's going to be a lot. I don't know if it's going to be good new drama, but there's going to be some new drama. So
I suppose the thing is, if you're not a fan of Call the Midwife and Mr. Selfridge, and these are the big programmes that are on at the moment, and if you don't like those, which none of us really do, then we're waiting. I think it's good. I think it's good overall that Ripper Street has been recommissioned, because it's got a chance to grow as a show, and maybe I'll give it another go at some point.
Say what you like about the BBC, and I think
all right, I shall. Oh no,
I get a lot of emails saying. Well, I get a lot of comments on Twitter saying we seem very BBC biased, but it's because their output is consistently good, and when they haven't got necessarily a definite hit on their hands, they'll stick by what they commissioned in the first place. Yeah. So Ripper Street not doing massively well, but they've seen the potential in it, and I believe it can go on and go on for Series 2. I'm already looking forward to Series 2, I must be honest. But interestingly, next Sunday, because it's an 8-episode thing, next Sunday it's going to be just postponed due to the BAFTAs. We'll be interested to see whether people watch the BAFTAs or migrate to Mr. Selfridge, being Ripper Street is none. We'll see. Oh, it's fascinating, the things we talk about. This is why people listen. They love to hear our views on things, I presume. I've not heard anything.
We hope that's why they listen, not for the comedy.
Splash, Gary, you watch Splash, talking about disappointing ITV at the minute.
Yeah, I must admit I didn't pay much attention to the final.
What's going on with you?
Do you know what it was? Last Saturday night I was a little bit bored. Regular listeners will know I've just moved into a new place, and I was a little bit bored on Saturday night, and it was on, and it was the only thing worth watching, which, I've now been limited in my channels.
That's a terrible thing. Terrible things about the state of things at the minute.
But reading articles today in The Independent on Sunday, apparently it has had some of the desired effect. According to one of the judges, it's been renewed for Series 2. Indeed. Well, I haven't read them, so I don't know. And apparently there has been an increase in young people joining diving clubs around the UK. So it has. I think what will be better is maybe next time they'll bring it forward. In other words, it won't be so late into the evening. So it'll be ITV's early evening show.
It's got 6.5 million viewers though. An episode.
Yeah. A lot of kids like Tom Daly. What can you say?
Do you reckon Thelma off Thelma's Gypsy Girls is making the swimming costumes?
I noticed that more and more they've got to. I mean, like there was an awful lot of stuff on Twitter about Linda Barker and the fact that she's 51 and how good she looks, and there was an awful lot on Twitter about the Italian guy whose name I can't remember, and he's wearing tight shirts. I think we really are pushing the envelope a little bit on kind of like pushing the kind of sexier side of diving.
The Sugar Babe as well from the first week we talked about.
Yeah, and Charlotte Jackson or something from Sky Sports News, and it makes me think that they're trying to sort of corner that kind of Big Brotherish kind of market that's there just, they want someone to look at rather than
something for the dads, as they were used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I alone here on my own podcast then, thinking this is incredibly lazy commissioning by...
No, I agree with you, Luke. No, I've only watched the first one as well, which you made me watch.
Yeah,
and
like a gun to his head and made him watch it.
Matt, rather, I'm so sorry, and you can, expect a gift basket when it's your birthday in a couple of years when I've saved up.
Expect to gift basket at some indescript time when I can be bothered.
Expect a massive IOU, because I don't know why I did that. I did that to someone I like as well. I should have done it to someone I don't care for. That's just... I think it's just lazy commissioning, and everyone I've spoken to... However, I did go round to relatives last night, and we had fish and chips, because I'm that rock and roll on a Saturday. No.
Okay. I think you're northern, so I don't think you did that.
Oh, I don't know whether to be hurt or not. I'm decided.
Come back to me.
So yeah, and they had never seen Splash because they're normal people, but they had the final on just while we were eating our dinner because for some reason they didn't want the telly on. And
I suppose in the case of it, Eddie the Eagle Edwards did sing. Sorry.
They were quite intrigued by it, but I think that is just the final. It's not. They haven't sat through the rest of it.
And maybe they can take some comments, and maybe they can shorten it next year. Maybe it could just be, you get 8 celebrities, and you do 2 semi-finals of 4 and a final of 4 or something. I don't know, but maybe they can tweak it a little bit.
They need a spinny chair on that as well, I reckon.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, and a battle round.
There should be more. Like 1 week, they should dive into a pit of snakes or something with a bit more action.
Bit of peril.
Yeah.
A lake of fire.
Some lava shipped in from somewhere. Just something to get me interested. But yeah, I do fear that with ratings like they are, that we'll probably see Splash 2, which irritates me already, and I really hope that
Splash 2 splashier.
It's Splash 2 this time. It's a bit damp.
Splash 2 this time. It's personal.
Splashback. Speaking of which,
Splashback. Okay, Matt wins. Matt wins that one. Well done. Splashback.
Ding, ding, ding. Speaking of something else you've seen, Matt, that you actually like, and this is another one. It's divided people. The people who are watching it love it. The people who don't couldn't care less. Utopia on Channel 4 on a Tuesday.
Yeah, I really like.
Before Matt does that, Luke is going all round our schedule on this one, and I have no idea where he's going next. It's like he's spinning the wheel and making a deal. I don't know where he's going.
Anyway,
it's the idea that even I don't know where I'm going. But for now,
Matt.
On Utopia,
which surprisingly is something that you don't really know where it's going. It's a sort of conspiracy thriller. Based around the graphic novel, The Utopia Experiments. It's just very sort of visually stunning, but also it's got really well-written characters, really well-drawn characters, written by Dennis Kelly, who wrote Pulling, the sitcom. I don't know if either of you saw that.
Loved
that. And I think what he's done is not only sort of incorporated the thriller elements from... I mean, it reminds me in a sense of like the Shadow Line, just in terms of its plotting, but I think he's put in it very...
It's bad to mention the Shadow Line or Line of Duty for a while now.
Yeah, the quite sympathetic, quite well-drawn characters, because all the central characters meet on a chat room, a message board to do with the comics, so they're all sort of nerdy or jobs worth.
What's interesting about it is you imagine before you've watched it that somebody would have already utilised the chat, the forum aspect for a TV show, but I don't think they have. This is the first time it's been used,
and it's a good way to sort of throw strangers together, isn't it? It's sort of
what I don't believe is that, let's say, for example, 3 people who've never met would spend like 45 minutes of their week talking about something when they've never met each other. They don't know where each other lives. They don't have each other's phone numbers. Know what each other look like on the street. It just seems implausible.
Yeah, I know it does, doesn't it?
I'm getting a sense of deja vu there.
But I mean, you're watching it. It's one of the few programs that you've started and you stick with. So
I mean, that I started to stick with voluntarily. Some I have to watch to review because
you're such a martyr.
I am. But Utopia is something that I am really enjoying. It's just every week something new happens. It's a lot of people have picked up on how violent it is as well, because in the first episode there was a torture scene involving someone's eyeballs, some sand, some chili. I won't go on. And in this latest episode there was a massacre in a school as well. So it's fairly violent. But
noticed as well that there's not many well-known people. I know there's one of the guys out of the very first series of
Go on, you can do it. Go on, Will.
I can do it. E4 Supernatural Misfits. One of the guys out of Misfits. I don't know his name.
Ian Stewart Jarrett, who played Curtis in Misfits. He's one of the main characters. But there's a lot of familiar faces sort of in the supporting cast. Stephen Reed from the Shadowline is in it. James Fox. Geraldine James.
But I think they have gone. The main characters are because of it's the cast is quite young, or the main cast is quite young, isn't it? They've gone for people that aren't necessarily known. The support cast is well fleshed out, but I think that's interesting. And I most of the comments that I've seen about Utopia is this is completely different to what else is on telly at the moment, and I think that's why this is sort of thing we want in January. Something
it's
fresh
almost
and new.
Very American. It does it. In a way,
yes, that's
what I've heard. It reminds me of Heroes a little bit, just in terms of it's about a graphic novel, but it's very British, I would say. It is.
And do you think you're going to get a gratifying conclusion to it?
I hope so. Yeah, I agree with you, but there's a lot of every week they give you something new, while at the same time, sort of questioning some of the characters' motives and things like that, but every week they give you something new about the characters, like the hitman played by Neil Maskell, who this week you even got a bit of sympathy for him, even though he just killed like 7 kids, which is quite an interesting thing to do, really. But I am really enjoying it.
Amazing script, really.
And I hope that, as you say, it gets a gratifying conclusion, because I think it deserves one. Definitely one of the most exciting programs around for a while.
Have we heard anything about potential Series 2 yet, or is this just?
I don't know if it's a self-contained. I don't know if it's a self-contained story. You never know. If you've written it as a one-off story, then I think it would be very hard to do a number 2, because it's sort of. Oh, come on! I was saying that, and you get a laugh from
Luke.
It's just that I was going to ask Gary how his toilet was. That was going to be the next.
Still broken. Waiting for the landlord to come fix it today.
Oh, no. Okay. So.
What are we moving on to now?
In the wheel. If you could try and grab some control back of the show, Luke. Come on, please.
If you're loving Utopia, I'd love to hear from you. Matt, I'd love to hear from you, and maybe even Gary would. You can get in touch with us on Twitter. But particularly me and Matt, I'd love to hear opposing views on Utopia. Maybe you're like me. You kind of. I did stick with it, but it's just one of those things that I'm watching because we do this podcast, and I feel like I'm cool and I'm hip, and it is as well, and I want to be watching it. And I can see the merits in it, but I'm just not loving it.
Gary, is it on your box still?
It's. I have the first 2 episodes on a disc, and I have the next 2 episodes saved on my hard drive to watch. So it will get watched, no doubt of that.
Interesting to see what you think of it as well.
I think I might try and take it in once the series is finished.
The colour in it is one of the things that makes it stand out for me. The fact that it doesn't look. It hasn't been graded like your average. It almost looks like a comic book.
Indeed,
Great colours. very cleverly done. I'm going to pass the erratic metaphorical wheel of the show off to Gary, and he can decide whether he wants to talk about Borgen or his favourite biscuits.
Well, in that case, then, Bourbon biscuits. I know. Borgen biscuits. Yeah, Borgen. BBC4 finished last night, Series 2. Matt and I have both been watching this. I haven't watched the last 2 episodes from last night. I don't know whether... I think Matt finished the series a couple of weeks ago, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
He's so off the ball.
He's so off the ball. What's really good is that I think that the mainstream press have really started to pick up on the themes of Borgen. So, again, article in The Independent today, sorry to keep plugging that, I'm not getting paid by them, linking events in Tony Blair's government to the Series 2 writing of Borgen. So the Somalian pirates, the invasion of Afghanistan, the having to appoint an EU commissioner, all things that have come up in Borgen. One thing that I would say, Matt, I'd like to get your theory on this. Do you think they killed off or did away with too many major characters?
I think, it seemed that her parliament is quite unstable, because every episode someone seems to leave or kill themselves or get sacked. So,
I think, there did seem to be a real kind of like thinning out of the major characters, so they killed off Trolls Hoxhaven. You got an awful lot of other things. It's very difficult to explain without giving away any of the plot. So it's very difficult. Matt, are you looking forward to Series 3, having seen the whole of it?
Oh yeah, I am. Enjoying the story about her daughter and the stuff about the African country as well.
We're getting some technical difficulties at the moment, so please bear with us, listeners. We're getting some echo, so we apologise if the quality isn't quite as good as you would normally get. We'll move on and talk very briefly, as it's just Matt and myself, for a minute about Celebrity Big Brother, because we both saw that ended a week ago, and Ryland was the winner of the Celebrity Big Brother. Do you think that was, I mean, considering the kind of furore that went around about him allegedly leaving the house to go and test for the X Factor tour, do you think that was the right decision? Do you think the public did the right thing?
I think he was the only feasible winner at the end of the day. I think if any, him and Spidey were the only sort of people that the camera seemed to focus on, and they were the villain, and he was sort of the hero. The only person I could have seen other than those winning was Razor Ruddock.
I was just going to say Razor Ruddock, At the beginning I could have seen Frankie, but he kind of faded into the background.
I don't think Razor Ruddock's fan base is the one that watches Big Brother, whereas Ryland had... No. I think that's why Toadie came third, because obviously Neighbours being on Channel 5, they got quite a lot of crossover.
Definitely.
What a bizarre conversation.
Well, hello.
At least, hello. Oh, you're back now, are you?
Toadie and everything else with a...
I noticed as well that Spidey have been given their own show on Channel 5, so the apocalypse is coming, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh
dear. We thought the world might end in 2013, and it may well do.
And talking very briefly about Celebrity World, let's talk a little bit about... Now, what's the name of this band reunion show?
Go on, try.
Reunion. The big reunion.
Try with it.
The big reunion. So there's about 6 or 7, 90s bands, these kind of manufactured bands that have come back together.
90s, 2000s, isn't it?
It's 2000s. And they're gonna eventually there's gonna be a tour, isn't there? But the show is just kind of putting them back together.
It's a one-off show, isn't it, in the Hammersmith Apollo? But the program is essentially talking about the bands, 2 bands per episode, and why they want to get back together, and then seeing like the rehearsals, and then the final one will be the concert.
So now, the point of this is to get a tour at the end of it.
I don't think it's a tour.
The point of
it
is the show.
The
point of it is the show, but I've read today that they're going to be some sort of tour. So that could be interesting.
I don't know whether there's any point.
What are the bands that are in there? You've got 911,
911, who I saw at a concert, I remember, at the Britannia Stadium back in 1999, something I was forced to go and see.
Just when I think you couldn't possibly get cooler.
Actually, 911 headlined and Westlife were the support act, surprisingly.
Oh, my word, dear me.
Also, Aswad were on that show.
Well, we've talked about Aswad before on this podcast, it's okay. 911, and then you've got 5, and don't forget that's 5 with the F replaced with a number 5.
Although now it's
that would
4 now. There's 4 of them because
yes.
Jen didn't want to come back.
And someone within 5 is the most annoying, isn't it? Abs has got the most annoying accent.
Who is what's the S at the end of his name for a Z, and is a sort of Essex lad, Greek Essex lad who talks like he's a Jamaican man.
One of these auditioned for The Voice, didn't they?
Oh, Sean, who was the youngest one, who I didn't realise was only 15 when the group started. That was one of the things.
And this is a Simon Cowell band, isn't it? This is a manufactured man.
We don't know enough about them.
And Richie Neville as well, who since then has moved to Australia and now sounds like an extra from Neighbours, which was quite interesting. And
he was only famous for dating Billy Piper, really. So.
Yeah. The other group covered in this first episode was Liberty X, who were the other band from Pop Stars, The Rivals, and were probably
did they? But
not Pop Stars, The Rivals. Sorry, just Pop Stars.
Pop Stars, the first one.
The first one, and they're most famous probably for Michelle Heaton being in the band, who sort of went on to do a lot of low rent celebrity shows afterwards. All the rest are sort of faded into
cruelly missed Celeb Air, which was a perfect.
I was kind of hoping that could be erased.
She did one of the Big Brothers as well, if I remember correctly.
She's done them all.
Yeah.
Something else that's going to get ourselves just completely hot under the collar as well. Derek, I really, really want to talk to you about Derek. I like the pilot. I saw merit in the pilot. The series itself, what is it all about? Gary, you said to me yesterday in conversation that you found it offensive. Those were the words you used with your mouth.
I think Gervais has not gone too far, because if you say he's gone too far, he's won. But I think he's ventured into territory which I just think is not funny. A lot of Gervais' stuff people find it offensive, find it funny. It has no redeemable merit, in my opinion. And I've only watched the pilot, and then I watched the first episode of the new series and realised it's. And the other thing that I'd have to say is that Carl, his name is Pilkington, can't act. It's just him again. It's just him.
I'll have to disagree with you, because I like Carl Pilkington.
I would like. He's the only thing I like about it.
Oh no, I like the woman as well. I'll say I
like the woman. That's fair enough. I do.
My opinion on it is that there was certainly room for a sort of comedy drama set in an old folks' home, and I do like the character Pilkington plays, and I do like the character, the female character, Kerry Godliman, I think the actress's name is. What I don't think it needed was the character of Derek. I think if the character of Derek wasn't in it, it would be a better programme, and I don't think there's any need. He didn't really add much to that first episode. He wasn't sort of part of the main plot. Yeah, exactly. If he's just
the first thing he's not done with.
Yeah, if Gervais had just
Stephen Merchant.
If Gervais had just sat back and written it, and I think there's a lot of merit in it. I think some of the other characters are well drawn, and I think there is sort of elements of humour in there that you could have. And I like the line about the guy on community service, the big bald chap who's thrown his neighbour's wife in the skip. That made me laugh, that line. But
I'm sure there are some moments.
It's a life, isn't it? That sort of thing.
Yeah, I think without the character of Derek in there, I think it would be looked upon as a decent, small little comedy drama. But I think Gervais' his performance as someone who is obviously quite slow, if not, got some mental difficulties, has sort of obscured everything, and it has what's looked at as a wasted opportunity.
What's tricky for me is I work with people with learning disabilities, learning difficulties, and I think it's not that I find it offensive that he's portraying somebody. In fact, I've really been enjoying the programme The Last Leg, on Friday nights with Adam Hills, and that really deals with disability in a way that I applaud. Straight on, dealing with it, making light of something which or taking the Michael out of themselves in quite a light-hearted ways. But the Derek thing just feels much more mocking than it does than anything else.
And I think that's because Gervais is playing him as well.
Yeah.
If you listen to Ricky Gervais, because it was on Wednesday night, 10 o'clock Channel 4, you can find it on 4OD if you want to watch it now. He was doing a lot of firefighting on Monday and Tuesday, saying Derek is a drama, it's not a laugh-out-loud sitcom, it's got a lot of heart, it's got a lot of... As if he was desperate for people to know this
I agree
before they saw it.
But I don't think he should be in it. I don't think the character should be in it. I think there is some warmth in there, and I think I would agree with him if he hadn't starred in it and put that character in there. That's my feeling.
I think if there has to be a Derek character in it, let it be an unknown person.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, he could easily have brought someone unknown in, to do that.
I just don't think the character contributes to the overall story very much in the first episode. Yeah,
he's the least interesting out of all of them.
Because the others, Gary, you think Pilkington's sort of can't act, and I think that's true to an extent. But
to me, the character is himself, and that's what he plays in An Idiot Abroad. He's not sort of
playing the idiot as much. I don't think he's playing more of a, because there's that bit at the beginning of the episode where the end of the episode where he stood up to the council, and that was I enjoy him and I enjoy the actress. Gervais for me shouldn't be in it.
Also, why do we have to have, the Office-esque camera?
Yeah,
that adds nothing to it for me.
That's the only sort of style he can work in, I think. I think
so he did it in Life Too Short, which
although his film Cemetery Junction, I still think is the best thing that he's done. And that was just a straight thing. Him and Merchant written it together, and he
still had to be in it, didn't he?
He only had a supporting role in that. He played one of the boys' fathers, and he was just, he didn't detract from it because he had
I think Gervais is trying to turn into like a modern-day Woody Allen, where he can't actually write anything for anybody else but himself. Exactly. And I just feel that the ship is kind of ready to sail on him, I think.
What I find infuriating, having come from the States to the UK, is Gervais. As much as I appreciate the Office was genius, you can argue with me about that, but in my view, it is. His radio show is brilliant, and An Idiot Abroad is brilliant in my view as well. He just seems desperate to be liked in the States, desperate to be loved by all these American people, desperate to be taken too seriously. Derek is a mess.
He's doing the Muppet Show in America, I believe.
No, he's doing the next movie.
The next movie. Yeah, sorry, the next Muppet Show movie. And I just think that is totally pandering to the Americans.
Completely.
Completely. Can we move on from Derek?
Let's go to something we know we all love. Let's end on a positive note. Let's have a bit of Weekly Wipe. I love this. Loved it, but I have to say, Charlie Brooker kind of stealing the format of the Custard TV Live a little bit.
Well, he's already talked about Splash and other things like that.
We talked about Splash when it first started. He's got a lot to catch up on, so he could learn a lot. Is all I'm saying. That's all.
I really liked the review, the end of 2012, a review that he did. I thought that was actually one of the best programs of last year. And we talked about it.
I was a big fan of his sort of original Screen Wipes on BBC 4. I think.
Yeah.
I'm glad he sort of brought this format back a bit. And
I was really worried that he was going to be sat on a panel talking like he did to an extent about Django Unchained.
Yeah.
Actually, I quite liked him adding that in, because it must be very difficult. I mean, there's only going to be 4 or 5 of these, and it must be very difficult because there isn't, as we've just said, there's not. If nothing happens in the next week that's really newsworthy, he's got to come up with a whole show. So if he adds in these little bits, he has his talking heads, he has his Barry Shitpeas, and moments like that. And if he adds in that, and then he can do these kind of like fireside chats about films with celebrities, if nothing really happens, and nothing really has happened this week as far as I know, that he's really going to be able to satirise. Well, that's fine, but I don't know if Charlie Brooker listens to Custard TV Live. If you're out there, Charlie, and you do, let us know. No, you should do.
Presume these things, though. I have sat a couple of feet away from Charlie Brooker, and at one point he did look me in the eye, which I took to mean he's a big fan of the show.
Yeah. Right.
Speaking of which, they're training Black Mirror on Channel 4 like mad.
Yeah.
How excited are either of you about the return?
I am. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I saw the preview for the first episode today, and it looks great. And again, you talk about Utopia and how it's using technology. Black Mirror, right up there with doing that, and that first episode using, I think it looks great.
I definitely think Channel 4 are sort of winning 2013 so far in terms of the quality of their programmes.
Yeah, for me personally, they are.
Even something like Derek, which we sort of all agreed is a bit of a failure, at least they're trying something.
Talking about it. Yeah, at least we're talking about it. I think that's...
It's different and it's diverse, I suppose, isn't it?
Why I keep moaning about ITV is, aside from Splash, there is literally nothing to talk about, even if we wanted to.
What about Great Night Out, Luke?
There is literally nothing to talk about, Matt.
Literally nothing. But Channel 4, Black Mirror is going to be on Monday night at 10. It's going to be following some documentaries that are going to be on Monday night. So it was on Sunday at 9 before, I believe. But
yes, the first ones are. But I'm looking forward to that.
But Charlie Brooker, and then we've got A Touch of Cloth from Charlie to come as well.
A lot from Charlie.
It's a big year for Brooker.
Yeah, you can't expect him to save television in general, but
he's having a go.
We did send out a social media question, which I've just spotted on this here piece of paper. Favourite new show of 2013? For me, My Big Fat Diary.
My Mad Fat Diary.
Oh yeah, see that's another problem with that. It's just I've read a gypsy in my mind. I'm sorry, My Mad Fat Diary. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I agree with it. It's sort of my co-favourite with Utopia, I would say. Should we ever talk about My Mad Fat Diary? Was that going to lead into that?
Yeah, well, I did want to talk about it because I think more people need to be watching it.
Okay.
I mean, no.
Is that in some way a hint towards me?
Yeah, exactly. But you were talking about the 90s reunions in the reunion. How good was the music in the 90s? Yeah,
it's sort of all very Oasis-y. It's very Britpop, the sort of soundtrack to My Mad Fat Diary, isn't it? Because it's set. We should say it's set in 1996.
It's based on a real diary from.
It's based on a real diary, but the real diary actually was written in the 80s, and she was a Morrissey fan. So, but this one I really enjoy because it's sort of looking back on my sort of teenage years. There's a lot of references, even the little references to Now 33 I thought was a nice little touch.
You know what else? And it's a phrase I found myself using a lot towards the end of last year when we talked about things like Moon Boy and other things in that vein. My Mad Fat Diary, surprisingly sweet.
Yeah, but it has got a sort of a bit of a what is it? So I want to say something better than saucy, but a bit of a. It's got a bit of rudeness to it. Raunchy. It's got a bit of rudeness to it in the sort of vulgarity to it in the way that sort of in betweeners had.
It's not shameless or the in betweeners.
No, it's got every so often she'll sort of put in a euphemism in there, won't she? But it's at the end of the day,
scene for me to watch on episode 2 as well. At the end,
it is based on a book, isn't it? And perhaps that's why so many people like the script and everything, because it isn't just written for television. It was written as a book that's been developed.
Also, like Moon Boy, I've just made this reference. Must just realised it myself. I love the on-screen animation.
I was going to mention that actually. Yeah, I mean, it's all about the girl. We should say it's about this girl Ray, who has just come out of a mental hospital after 4 months. She had some sort of breakdown, and now she's trying to sort of readjust to life outside with her sort of crazy mother and her new set of friends, all of whom are sort of music in a way, aren't they? They're into the music. And another bit I know you like, Luke, was the acoustic version of Return of the Mac in the first episode.
You don't see enough acoustic Mark Morrison on telly. There, I said it. That's all I'm going to say.
You don't see enough Mark Morrison on television, and we all know that. No, we all know why, though. So.
I was expecting him to see him on Behind Bars with Trevor McDonald, but he was never on it.
I have an anecdote about Mark Morrison, but I'll save it for another time.
Oh, go on. No, we've got time.
I worked in Notting Hill. You remember that he allegedly tasered somebody in a shopping in a supermarket in Notting Hill. Well, I used to work in Notting Hill, and I went into that supermarket one day, and over the speakers was playing Return of the Mac. And this was about 2 weeks after the incident, and I kind of looked at the bloke who was standing in the queue next to me. We just kind of nodded and went, "Yeah, that's weird, isn't it?"
That is weird. That is bizarre.
It was weird.
But wasted some of the podcast. But yeah, can I just say as well, the young cast of My Mad Fat Diary are just brilliant. Yeah. Sharon Rooney, who plays the lead role, I just find her completely believable.
Definitely,
I find her, I just completely sort of zoned into her world whenever she's on screen.
I didn't realise she was 24, because she's so good at playing a 16-year-old. I know it's nothing new, like people in their 20s playing like teenagers, but...
And Scottish as well.
And Scottish,
anyone who's seen any American teen drama knows that anyone from the OC or 90210 is not 19. Actually, they're 25.
Yeah, I did hear rumours, actually, that Bruce Forsyth will be in the next series of Waterloo Road.
Oh, right.
Well, Angus Dayton is actually going to be in the next series of Waterloo Road, so there you go.
But not as a child. If you want to talk about any of the telly we've just spent our afternoon talking about with us, we would love to hear from you. You can get in touch with me on Twitter via @Custard TV. Gary also has the Twitter thing down.
Yes, I do, and it's @TheGaryShow.
As does Matt.
Matt is @Matt's TV Bites with 2 T's.
Remember the 2 T's. You can't get anywhere through life without 2 T's. Remember that, people. Something else that is worthy of discussion, just briefly. House of Cards with Kevin Bacon is exclusive.
Kevin Spacey.
Kevin Spacey, not Kevin Bacon.
So I got bacon on the brain. Sorry.
Keep seeing those E adverts. This is a remake of the British show, isn't it? Called House of Cards, and Kevin Spacey is playing the main role. I'm going to check this out this week, and on next week's podcast, I'll tell you how good it is, or how bad it is.
Because you said this before, and I've been left in the cold with me flowers, and you didn't deliver. They also announced the cast for another remake. This time it's the UK taking on a Nordic drama in the shape of The Bridge, which is coming soon to Sky Atlantic, called The Tunnel. Keely Hawes has been added to the cast list, as has former Merlin star Angel Colby. They will both be involved, and the Sky Atlantic are about to start filming that now. This is the first time, is it, that the UK's remade a Nordic drama?
No, Wallander.
Well,
Wallander with Kenneth Branagh was a remake of the Nordic one, but this is the first one that I think of the more recent ones. Wallander's quite old in Danish
Wallander
terms.
Is still set in Sweden, isn't it?
Yes, they've changed the location, but
it's basically the English remake of Wallander is still set in Sweden, but just with people
using
talking
English actors.
This is a complete remake. The new story, the tunnel, and it's going to be the Channel Tunnel. The French version of the Swedish detective is being played by Clémence Possy from the Harry Potter films, and the English detective is the guy from Game of Thrones, whose name escapes me at the moment.
Sean Bean.
No, the guy plays Stannis Baratheon.
I can't remember his name though.
Stephen Delane. There you go. It's just come through.
Possible controversial comment. I really have been underwhelmed by Sky Atlantic. I was hoping for a lot more. So hopefully this will be the thing that gets me back onto the Sky Atlantic's brilliant bandwagon. But we shall see. Gary's enjoying Suits. Do you want to say anything briefly about Suits?
Very quickly, buddy lawyer drama, second series, very good. Introduction of new characters on Dave on a Thursday night at 9 o'clock. I highly recommend it.
Okay, and we've just about covered everything. You can get us on Twitter, but now, just got about 90 seconds to talk about Gary's toilet. What's going on?
Well, what's happening is that the flush mechanism has been broken, so he's got to come and replace that. So at the moment, after I've been to the loo, I need to flush it down with a bucket. So it's not great, and I've got people coming over tonight to watch the Super Bowl. So I'm hoping it'll be fixed before then, really.
Oh, that's what we'll rename your toilet, the Super Bowl.
Oh yes, very good.
We're gonna rename it. Okay, you can catch the Custard TV live normally on a Tuesday, but you can get all the feed via thecustardtv.com and catch up on all the latest news, reviews and interviews, and even Matt's weekly column every Saturday right there at thecustardtv.com. Thank you very much, people, for spending time in my company on a Sunday afternoon, and we'll be back next time to talk more telly on the Custard TV Live. Thank you, people.